Hey guys,
What's up?
this episode we are talking about uh, getting into a healthy relationship after being in a toxic relationship or several, whatever that looks like for you.
We're not judging.
We listen and we don't judge. We've all been there. Skylar and I both are currently in very healthy relationships after a long history of toxic relationships. So we are both very uniquely qualified to talk about this topic. Obviously, it looks different because we're different people and, our spouses are different people, but generally we can both speak from experience on what it's looked like getting into a healthy relationship after the fact.
I guess we can start by saying, how many years did you spend in a toxic relationship or a toxic cycle when it came to relationships?
Ian and I were really young. Well, I was young. I was 20 when we started dating, but obviously, I was in very toxic relationships as a teenager. And then I was in a incredibly short-lived but toxic relationship with AJ's dad. For those of you who don't know, AJ is my daughter. She's 12. Her dad and I were in a relationship for about 5 months before I got pregnant with her. And after getting pregnant was kind of when I realized, wait a minute, this is no environment to raise a child. So it was bad. And we were both, it was give and take. It wasn't a completely one-sided toxic relationship, but it was terrible. So that relationship, we tried to make it work, after finding out we were pregnant, getting the comments like, "Oh, are you guys going to get married? You're expecting a child." And that was terrifying
I
because I'm
couldn't
like,
imagine.
guys, I just found out I'm pregnant. What this isn't the nice, you don't just have to go get pregnant or go get married anymore. That's
Yeah.
what my parents did was oops, after a month of breathing the same air, they got pregnant and then they got married because they had to. Benefits, I'm sure everybody's story is very similar. But you were in a pretty long-term toxic relationship, right?
Yeah. From the age of 14 to I think 21. And not to say it was toxic on one side. Definitely we're both very toxic. I will 100% admit that.
Yeah.
Because you grow up together, right? Like
Right.
at 14, I don't know who the fuck I am, let alone how I'm supposed to make a relationship work and vice versa. So that was I think almost 8 years of my life
Yeah.
that I wouldn't say I wasted. I learned a lot from
Right.
being in those positions. Some things I wish didn't happen, but no hard feelings there whatsoever. It definitely made me who I am and the girlfriend I need to be now for my
Yeah.
current relationship.
It does take a long time though to not be so angry about it and not feel like that was such a waste of time and ruined my life. It takes a long, long time to really be over that and kind of putting yourself in the victim role.
Yeah, that's
It's
what I,
really what it feels
yeah,
like.
you have to really dig deep and do a lot of self-reflection to
Yeah.
take yourself out of that victim mentality. Why me, poor me. And it's just okay, that shit happened. It's time to grow the fuck up and get over it. You
Yeah.
weren't perfect either, regardless of what was done that was okay or wasn't okay. There comes a point in time when you have to let that shit go.
Yeah. No, literally. But that's just that's the easy route. And when you're young, it's of course you're gonna go the easy route and just, oh, for me, but it definitely a lot of the time is two-sided. Obviously, when you're in a position if it's like physically abusive, it does get to a point where it is mostly one-sided, but we all have to accept some sort of responsibility in the toxicity of the relationship.
Agreed.
So I do want to touch on what it looks like adjusting to a healthy relationship. So Skylar spent more time in a toxic relationship than I did. I had several short-lived toxic relationships, but I've my husband and I have been together 12 years. She spent a longer time in the toxic relationship and is now in a newer, healthy relationship. So we're able to kind of provide like insight on it from different lenses, like adjusting to a healthy relationship when all you know is toxicity. And that can look like so many different things. It doesn't necessarily always mean like outwardly, sick behavior.
Some hoe activity.
Like it could be so many things, but like you're obviously like going through people's phones, like assuming that every female they come in contact with is, they're going to get with them or they're going to cheat on you, kind of jumping to those assumptions or just kind of like the common
Yeah.
behaviors for sure.
And I think that's why too, like I ended the 8-year relationship, immediately jumped into a second relationship.
Yeah.
Which was also very toxic, mind you. I had absolutely no time to heal. It definitely got me out of the situation I was in, but I should not have done that.
Yeah.
And then after I ended that second toxic relationship, I gave myself a whole year to just take off dating.
You really did.
I did not. I was not interested. I think I went on one date in the like 2 years that I was single. So from like 24 to 26, I went on one date. That guy was fucking crazy. He still follows me. So if you see this, I'm sorry.
If you feel guilty, this is about you.
No, actually 2 dates. I will say 2 dates. The first guy was super nice, super chill guy. I just knew I wasn't in a place to date. But the second guy, like, you were fucking crazy. I completely, like, honestly, I took away all sex.
Good morning to everyone except that guy.
Good morning. Yeah, he was crazy, but you know what? No, I literally just took the whole like year to 2 years to really just focus on me, grow. I was in therapy. I took myself off antidepressants, and
Actually, like find yourself.
found myself, grew within business, started a second business, did a bodybuilding show. So kind of just everything I never got to do for me because I had been in a relationship from 14 to 24, essentially. Actually, funny story is I met Dalen, my current boyfriend, probably 4 months into being single. I ran into him at a bar. Yeah, I knew him previously.
You guys knew of each other.
We knew of each other like acquaintances, and we talked a little bit. We both agreed we weren't ready for something, and it took almost 2 years for us to like both be ready to have a committed relationship with each other, which I'm so thankful for because like 4 months me out of a relationship, like I was not fucking ready, even though I said I was.
Bumps in the road.
Yeah.
So it's like now, like, okay, how do we do this? Like together?
Yeah.
Like do the big things together.
Right.
The big life adult thing.
Yeah. And he's so patient and so kind, and it's like crazy.
See, I did not give myself any time to find myself before getting into a relationship with my now husband. I was pregnant with my daughter. I was 7 months pregnant. Let me backtrack here. I knew my husband before I ever knew the father of my daughter, who, for anyone that's curious, is still very much involved in her life. We're all good now, but anyways, I met my husband 2 years before we started dating. We worked together. I was a senior in high school, a few months shy of 18. And like the good man that he is, the good man his mother raised him to be,
We love Ian.
did not pursue me because I was underage. He's 4 years older than me. But we very obviously were into each other. And you guys, when I tell you the moment I met this man, I knew that was going to be my husband someday. I was madly in love with him from the get-go. He's funny, he's charismatic, like he's just like cool, calm, collected. Everybody loves him. But then he went off to go to lineman school. I grew up in Tucson, Arizona, and that's where we both were raised. That's where we met. He went up to Phoenix to go to lineman school, fast forward, I meet my daughter's dad. We fuck around and find out I'm pregnant.
We fuck around and find out.
But I never stopped like being madly in love. It was like he was the one that got away because then I got pregnant and I was like, well, there it goes, like
And he came back.
he's not gonna want like anything to do with me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like he was just, very superficial. He wanted a platinum blonde, tan little girlfriend, and I was not that anymore. So I was like, well,
Wait, Ian did?
yes, yeah. He was a very like, yeah, he was a super douche for sure. And
Which is so funny because like now I see him and I'm like,
yeah,
I don't get those vibes.
no, I know. Well, and like after getting to know him,
Yeah.
but initially for sure. And I was 7 months pregnant and had dumped, my baby daddy. And so I was like, you know what? I'm gonna just reach out and say hi.
Like, what's the worst that can happen?
Hey, just like as friends. I knew obviously at 7 months pregnant, I was not like just hey. So I reached and because we would do that, like we would just like at random, either he would text me or I would text him. And it was always like one of us was always not in a position to like,
Right.
you know,
There was interference.
yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. And so I was like, literally within minutes, he was like, hey, you wanna come up, hang out?
You're like, I
Yeah.
got a big old belly.
Yes, I do. Like, I'm pregnant. Is that cool? He's like, yeah, that's totally fine. No,
Wait, did you actually say is that cool?
like, I'm sure, like, well, he knew.
Okay.
Like, he did make
How
mention
funny
of
that would be.
in my little, at the time, freshly 20 years old, just turned 20, 7 months pregnant. I'm like, okay. So I drove my little ass to Phoenix and spent the weekend with him, and we have literally been inseparable since. So I basically, pregnant, went from one relationship to the next. So I have spent the last 12 years with my ever so patient husband finding myself. He has been so nice and gave me so much grace to really figure out like what what who I am and what I'm gonna do like with my life.
And that's why I kind of like want to reiterate too is like healing looks completely different for everyone. I think it's like all based on like what you're comfortable with, what you want to do. Like Lindsay found the love of her life, 7 months pregnant.
Hey,
in an
it's not
apartment.
the end, ladies. So
Yeah.
if you find yourself pregnant,
There's still more to come, like
someone for everyone. But if you ask my husband now, he would not do it again.
like
If you
really
find
fucking
them,
weird.
snatch them up. They will regret it later.
No, for sure. And then there's other people who like just need to take that time to
Yeah.
be alone. And I feel like my mental health was fucking ass. Like I never really believed in mental health before. And after starting my antidepressants, I was like finally seeing clearly for the first time in what felt like 8 fucking years.
Yeah.
And I was like, let me get the fuck up on here. Like I gotta go. And I called my mom and I was like, Mom, I can't take it anymore. Like I gotta move back home.
Can't do it.
Yeah, I gotta move back home. And she fucking let me move back home, of course. Obviously, she's a saint for that. I lived in her downstairs bedroom off the same 6 outfits for about 3 months because I left all my shit.
I love that.
Yeah.
Did he try to come like back? Like, did he try to find you
For sure.
where you were?
Yeah, he knew where I was. He tried. But I mean, I just like, I think at that point, like I was so over it. Like I was so mentally like finally felt good for the first time in a long time.
Yeah.
And I just knew I couldn't go back. But yeah. And then on Father's Day, I think, or Mother's Day, me and my best friend drove out to the house and packed my shit up in 8 minutes. I mean, I seen on the Ring doorbell he had left, and I threw all my, and I threw all my shit in a garbage bag. I left everything. I just brought my clothes and my shoes, threw it all in a trash bag, and we moved my whole life out in 8 minutes.
You're like, my favorite pants are in that house.
If you see this, can I have those back? No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, so I just grabbed my clothes and my shoes and shit, and I dipped, and that was it. I'm the type of person though, like once I'm done, I'm done. Like I'm a ride or die. I'll stick it out as long as I fucking can. But like when I'm done, I'm done. I don't look back. All my exes are blocked. Like, I have no interest.
Yeah.
And two, like, that's the thing, like, closure comes from within, right? Like, I don't search for closure in a human being. They're never going to give it to you.
Yeah. Agreed.
So,
And it's like you can only take it for so long. See, like I am just like I'm not a narcissist ideal candidate, you know?
me either. I'm a
Like
fucking bitch.
I'll fight you. I don't
Same.
care. You
For
want to
legal
argue with me?
purposes, I won't. But, like,
You want to argue? You want to get in my face? Let's go.
yeah.
You
And
know?
I think that's, like, what's so crazy about, like, our current relationships, too, is, like, my boyfriend is such a saint. Like, he's so
Wish he would.
I know. Like, he's so patient. I think we were driving in the car the other day, and I just got off hormone replacement therapy because I got to get blood work done, and I'm sick at the same time. And we were going to my lash appointment, and if you know me, like, lashes religiously, like, I cannot live without them. And he told me we had to drop his truck off, and that it was only 30 minutes away, and it took us like 65 minutes to get there. Mind you, I get my lashes done in Tucson. Call me crazy. My lash lady's the best fucking lash lady ever. Okay, don't want to hear it. Um, and then I got stopped by a train for 20 minutes on Grand, and I was going to be 20 minutes late to my lash appointment. And I was fucking cranky as fuck.
Yeah.
And he was just like, don't get cranky with me. And I'm like,
Why are you?
why the fuck you gotta say that? Like, now I'm gonna sit here and shut the fuck up. Like, that's growth because before I would have been like, get the fuck out of the car.
You're like I'm swinging. Yes. I like sometimes I want him to just like pick a fight with me
Yeah,
or just engage in the fight, and he absolutely will not. And I'm just like,
that's those old
sir,
toxic
hello,
behaviors
like,
coming out.
well, and then it's like you throw ADHD on top of it, and like that need for conflict, that need for like excitement.
Yeah,
Oh, you're just like, fight with me,
yeah.
something, anything.
It took me a very long time to process the fact that, like, calm isn't boring,
Yeah,
right? Like, because I had
yeah,
been so used to the chaos, like, calm is okay.
yeah,
Like, like with my boyfriend now, like, we don't text for 6, 7 hours throughout the day, and I'm like, not fucking dying.
yeah. You're not questioning like, oh, is he cheating on me?
Yeah.
Or like, does he not love me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he's in the middle of nowhere, so, like, I do long distance.
But like, I mean, Ian and he works 12-hour days, and unless it's like we have a question to something that needs like an immediate answer,
Yeah.
like then we're not gonna have anything to talk about when we
Yeah.
get home. But like he works with a lot of younger guys that like they'll be on the phone with their girlfriends or wives like all freaking day, 20 million times a day. And it's just like, I don't want to talk to you that much.
Like, I'll see you when you get
Yeah,
home.
literally. I know more about you than you do. So like unless it's really important, like I already know what I can anticipate. And
Right.
that just like, that comes with time and obviously trust in your partner too. But it is like, it's so interesting to see. And like, you don't want to talk shit because
No.
everybody was there at some point.
Right.
But I'm so just like,
I wish that, like, I could, when I see other girls going through it, right? And I'm just like, girl, like, it gets better. You're so scared to leave. But, like, I see these young girls who are going through it or, like, soaking up in that victim mentality, like, after they had been cheated on or the narcissistic abuse or whatever. And I'm just like,
yeah,
unfortunately, like, it's so common.
Yeah.
Like, it's so common.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I promise you, like, once you close that fucking chapter, like, your life it'll suck the first 2 weeks.
Oh yeah. Well, and it might even suck longer than that. Like, and you're gonna regret every decision, especially when you have kids. Like, obviously, like you don't have kids, so
Right.
like it's different. Like
Right.
you did, but it still took you a long time to leave. But I get that, like when you have children, a lot of people, not always, not just women, because I'm sure it's men too. Like they stay because they have kids. What about the kids? But like you have to take care of yourself first and like make sure that you're safe and happy and healthy so that your kids can be the same.
Right.
Because you can't like don't stick it out just for the kids. But I also do like understand that there are times where women are put in a position where they can't leave. Like they don't have access to money. They don't have like they're completely isolated from everything, and like that delays things a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. And that's why, like, without getting into too much detail, obviously, that's like kind of how my oldest sister is, right? And that's why I'd always said from like the moment seen her like go through that is like, I will never depend on a man. Like, I don't care if I have the nicest, most like, I don't care how good my man is to me, what he can provide me with. Like, I will always have my own source of income because, like, you never know when shit's gonna hit the fan. And, like, that's a shitty way to look at it, but, like, that's the trauma talking. Like, and it's the truth. Like, when you've experienced it and then when you've seen people in your family go through that too, like, to a much more serious extent, like, I always need to, like, provide for myself. I couldn't, like, not hating on women who don't, not at all. Like,
You can depend on your partner, trust them wholeheartedly. Like, that's not saying that everybody that's, a stay-at-home mom or wife,
right.
whatever, is going to be put in that position. But it definitely is like you do have to find ways to protect yourself.
And I think, like, too, when it comes to relationships with me, like, emotionally and, like, for emotion and security, I depend on my partner.
Yeah.
But I've always kind of been independent when it comes to, like, finances and, like, providing for myself.
Yeah.
That's also another thing is, like, how hard was it to, like, let a man provide for you for the first time?
My gosh, no, that was well, and it wasn't until we had been together for several years. We didn't I didn't become like primarily dependent on Ian like monetarily until like the last few years. Like because obviously I started my business. He let me, kind of explore that journey and it was it was hard and I still like do think about it. It's like what if like something were to happen,
Yeah.
But that's like, I think it is important to think about those things, even if you don't feel like you have anything to like worry about.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's still hard. Like, I still find myself very much like in my masculine energy.
Yeah.
It's toned down a lot in my current relationship just because, like, he'll remind me too, like, hey, like, I'm the man.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh shit,
Yeah.
okay, like, you're right. But I've been so used to, like, being the more masculine one in a relationship that still a learning experience for me.
Yeah. It takes a long time to kind of like get away from that masculine energy. I still struggle with that in a lot of ways.
What do you feel like was like a major shift from you? Do you think it was just like Ian continuously proving himself like to you, like doing the things he said he was gonna do?
I don't, I feel like a lot of our relationship has just kind of happened organically. Like, not, we didn't really have a lot of conversation about anything in particular. Obviously, I've asked him, like, why have you been around? Why did you stick it out? All the drama with AJ's dad, all the things like, why did you stick it out? And he was always just like, because you never asked me to like change myself. So, like, a lot of the things that we've done has just been organic. Like, we see, the other person changing and, shifting their mindset about one thing. And we just kind of like lean into each other with that.
Like letting each other be who you are, essentially.
Yeah. And there's nothing like we agree on most things. There isn't anything that's like, I'm so passionate about this and he disagrees with that and vice versa. Like, we just have very similar ideals. We have similar goals, things like that. So it's like, it's all just kind of happened. I think that like when it comes to obviously like personal growth, I think I've done more in that department than he has, but also like he doesn't have as much to have to like grow from. Like his foundation is so strong because like he was raised by two really good people. Like despite the fact that like his biological dad was not in the picture, he has like such a good foundation that he's now kind of getting to a point where like he's like, okay, there are some changes that I need to make. But
Douglas, knock it off.
is he on the water?
I think he's trying to get the onion.
You don't want that. So yeah, like now he's like starting to reach a point where he's like, okay, there are things that I need to like do better. So really a lot of it's just been him kind of making room for me to figure out myself. And he's like, however I can support you, I will.
Love that.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just gonna happen.
I feel like your upbringing too does play a huge role in it as well.
Yeah.
I didn't have the worst upbringing. I didn't have like best case scenario. My parents did what they could, to
Right.
provide and
Survive.
get us there. But I will definitely say, like, I feel like looking at my family dynamic, like toxic relationships, not even with my parents. I don't think that my parents are in a toxic relationship, but like even when I look at like grandparents, aunts and uncles, like I definitely look and I'm like, holy shit, like I thought this was normal for so long and it's just not.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Well, and my mom was single a lot of my life. Like my parents separated when I was 6, and then she was in she was in a couple relationships, but like it wasn't until I was in high school that she was in like a really long-term relationship. But like I was raised in this like toxic femininity, My mom was very much like, I will never rely on a man. I will never, like I had, there were 3 of us girls and then my mom. So it's like we learned how to do all of the things that typically would be your, male roles in a household. And so it was like, you don't need a man. So we had to lean more into the masculine energy, like in my family. And my mom, as a twin sister, who is the same, they were both single moms. And so it was like this, you know, no, we were not girls. Like it
we fucking hated each other.
no, literally. Well, and like we loved each other and we were like ride or die for each other. But like other women, no, like absolutely not. And it was like very much that I don't get along with girls.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah.
I get along better with boys. This is why I only have boy friends.
And
Like,
I feel like for me it was the complete opposite because like I think in 2002, so like I was 4, my dad had a really bad accident at work and he had to go undergo like a really major back surgery. Like couldn't he couldn't walk. He had to relearn how to do all of that.
yeah,
He was immobile for a really long time. So my mom kind of like worked 2 to 3 jobs just to get us by and dad stayed home, and like he took care of the kids, he got us to school, he got us off the bus, he woke us up, like everything a mother should do. Like I don't want to say should do, but everything a mother is kind of like expected,
typically does.
it
Yeah.
typically does. um it was reversed for me.
Yeah.
So now like I feel like that has also like obviously there's nothing we could do about that. Like
Right.
he was hurting. But I feel like going into relationships now, I feel like as a woman, I don't care like if I have to provide for the family because that's what I'm so used to.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you can stay home and cook dinner and like take care of the house and
Yeah.
like I'll go be the breadwinner, like if that's what I have to do. But like also at the same time, I can't live like that.
Yeah.
Like I'm starting to realize like that's not the normal way. And like me and my current boyfriend talk about it all the time now. And we're just like, we're very much so like a 50-50 household. And like that's just what works for us. Like whatever. If you know me, I ask him if I can quit my job at least like 50 times a week just to see if his mind would change. But like
Yeah.
even if he said yes, I don't think I could do it.
I mean, he would let you for sure.
He would let
Like
me.
you wouldn't want to.
Yeah.
Like I love like working. I love like having that purpose.
And that's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
Like it fills a void.
Yeah.
And two, like I feel like to run your own business and know like you poured your heart and soul into something like from the ground up. Like I couldn't, like I fucking love that shit.
Yeah. Same. But it does like it's hard to balance that in your relationship and like find like a healthy balance.
Yeah, and I think too, like that's part of the reason I honestly wanted to get out of my first, like the 8-year relationship, is because not because I wanted to build a business. Essentially, there was so many other things that went into that,
Yeah.
but like I couldn't fully I guess I should say that's another reason why I wanted to take the 2 years to be single, because my business was the most successful during that time because I poured everything I had into my business. Now obviously Dalen works over the road. He's never home. Even when I go see him or like he's home visiting, like I still have a pretty healthy balance with that. And he's understanding. I think especially like in the job I have, being a personal trainer, like your body is your billboard. It's something that's posted on the internet all of the time. And I think I do a pretty good job of respectfully still posting it. But he doesn't get jealous. He's not insecure. And that's a fucking game changer.
That's another thing is like jealousy in your relationship. Like I see all these women who say like my partner would never let me wear something like that, post something like that.
Like he's not my fucking dad.
Go out with my girlfriends
Yeah.
looking like that. And it's like I've been in relationships like that and it's like they're like, are you really gonna wear that? And it's like, yeah.
Oh, literally.
Yeah.
Like Dalen tries to convince me to start an OnlyFans all the fucking
Don't.
time. He's like, "Do you know how much money we could make?"
Yeah.
I'm like, "Do you know like I have morals? Not shitting on anyone who has an OnlyFans, but like
You go out on a date and he's like, you're not showing enough skin. It's like, what do you want from me? Like,
all right, let me hike this dress up my ass.
yeah,
Like,
let me pull my boobs out even further. So it's like, but it's so wild to, be in that kind of relationship because you're just like, they just let you be you.
yeah, like who you are.
Yeah.
And I feel like I fucking love it.
If your man is trying to control what you wear, how you look, what you post on the internet, he needs to go to therapy. Like, it's one thing if you have those standards for yourself, like, I don't want to do that because I don't want to. That's totally fine. That's the only reason why you should or should not do something is because you want to. It's crazy.
That like kind of brings me back to the Brianna Chicken Fry and Zach Bryan drama.
Yes.
If you don't know, I am 110% a Zach Bryan fan. I was just at his concert on Wednesday.
Yikes.
Yeah,
It's
so
not good timing.
I'm also a girl's girl and I have been through narcissistic abuse and I see both sides without getting too much into that because like I don't want the hate to start pouring in. This is the first time I've publicly ever talked about being in an abusive relationship.
Yeah.
And I don't even have a big platform. I think she has like 2.2 million followers on TikTok.
Yeah.
But I feel, and like I get everyone processes shit differently, but like now the more that comes out and like obviously I got in deep on this drama and I wish I wouldn't have went down this rabbit hole.
Everybody else, girl.
But like, in the way she's like airing her best friend out, like kind of the Grace O'Malley stuff where she essentially blindsided her in the way Brianna said Zach blindsided him. So it's like now I'm having doubts of where like I don't want to like if he did do that, like
Yeah.
But again, like also as a rock star, like I don't sadly to say like I don't expect less. Like if you listen to his music, he literally talks about how he's a shitty human.
I think that there is room to like separate the art from the artist a little
Correct.
bit. Like he can be a good performer, a good songwriter, a good musician, like all of those things while also being a terrible human being.
Agree. I don't think I could ever date him because like he is a piece of shit.
Right.
But like he makes good music. He puts
Yeah.
on a good performance and for that, like I love him.
Yeah. But they're also and like obviously this is an issue like much bigger than than us in that industry. I mean, look at everything that's going down with like, the whole like P. Diddy situation. Like this, like more light has been shed on these type of people, like not giving them power. But it's gonna take a long time for there to be
a breakthrough, essentially.
Yeah.
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 No, I don't know. I just think it's fucking crazy. And like I mean, I hope she heals from what she's been through. I hope she does not just using it for clout.
I I don't think that if you like stay a fan of theirs that like you're a bad person by
Right.
any means. Like
Right.
that doesn't define who you are and what you stand for.
I'm not going to discredit either, just
Right.
simply because, like, we don't know the
Yes.
truth. They're the only ones who actually know what happened.
Right. And I think everybody kind of should just like stay in their own lane. Like I saw somebody post recently that was like, oh, like he's a typical military dude, like, basically saying like, oh, because he's this guy, like this kind of guy, like what else did you expect from him? It's like, I don't think that's the right way to
Yeah.
like
And, like,
think about it. It's like, yes, okay, like they are if he is a stereotypical XYZ, you know, okay, yeah, that behavior was expected, but that doesn't make it okay by any means.
yeah. And two, like, I don't know. I just feel like this is the shit you go through when you have a public relationship.
Yeah, that makes it 10 times more difficult because everything is under
I always say, like, I don't
scope.
want to be famous.
Like it seems great in theory, but everybody is in your business. He feels entitled to an opinion on your relationship, on how you choose to live your life, what you are passionate about. They're like, that's wrong.
Yeah.
So it's hard. It's a hard kind of platform to find yourself in for sure. But how was the concert?
So fucking good.
Was it?
I was a DD. I let my boyfriend, it was his birthday gift. His birthday was back in April. So I let him chug some beers. But no, it was a really good time. Had fun. I was home and in bed by like 11:30, so
We love an early bedtime.
we do.
We love that.
Is there anything else we want to touch on? And if you guys like want us to touch on a certain topic, obviously like drop a comment, send us a DM, and we'll be more than happy to touch on that.
Yeah, we're gonna do some like Q&A style
Yes.
episodes too. So we'll definitely be requesting some questions or topics that we talked about. We have some things in the pipeline.
And
really excited.
Yeah. No, I cannot wait. It's gonna
Yeah.
be so much fun.
So long story long, there is hope after a toxic relationship.
It does get better, but only if you let it.
Yeah. You do have to let it. You have to be
Let it
open.
hurt.
You have to be open to this or something better.
Yeah. But you don't have to stay there forever. And I wish I could tell my high school self that.
Yeah. If they're trash, they're always going to be trash.
Facts.
So
Once a cheater, always a cheater.
it just is fact.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
They can't help it.
No.
Which is not an excuse by any means. Go to therapy. Get your shit figured out. Quit hurting the people that you love because you don't want to work on yourself.
Yeah, and that actually just reminded me of a quote my therapist once told me that helped me a lot. And she said, "You fear the devil you don't know more than the one that you do know."
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, that's so true.
So true.
Because that kept me stuck for so long.
Yeah.
Like I knew it was going to be shitty, but I knew I was, for the most part, going to be safe.
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy.
Wild.
Crazy thing to picture you in a different situation than you're currently in. Like you think it could be worse. It could always be worse, for sure.
Fact.
But it can always be better. So
Word.
I'd rather be alone and happy than with someone and miserable.
Yes, and it takes a long time to realize that.
Yeah.
But here the fuck we are.
Yeah.
We are here to tell you.
He would.
Fact.
Some people think that's a controversial statement, but I think it's so true.
It's like true.
But that goes like even for yourself. Like
if you wanted better, you would go find better.
And it takes like something to motivate you to be better. If they're not doing it for you, but they do it for the next person, then that just means that they were the person that motivated them in that way. And that's totally fine.
It's not a you problem. It's a them problem.
It's them for sure.
For sure.
But it could be us too.
All right, guys. Thanks for tuning into our first episode. Can't wait to bring you some more juicy tea.
Yes.
make sure you tune in, you like, you share, subscribe to our channel, and we'll see you next week.